Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. Thank you so much for watching every Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started talking with our next guest. She is awesome. Her name is Paula McDougal, and we've got to talk about this because, first of all, I wanted to mention this. Our station is actually the listeners tell us what to do. They tell us what to play. They tell me the shows they would like to see. And I've been doing a lot of gardening stuff, Paula, because folks want to know about gardening, how to plant a seed, what that's all about, that kind of thing. So we truly listen to you, to our listeners and watchers who are found on channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. And Paula, guess what? We're also in Australia.
Oh, wow.
So this is pretty cool. So we appreciate you listeners out there, wherever you are. When you hear a song or you know of someone who sings really well and you just really, their music just talks to you. If you'll let us know who that singer is and have them send an MP3 and let us listen to it, we're going to go ahead and put it on the station. Then you choose what we play. So you choose the airtime. You can just go to the website, which is icradio.media. Go that way, and it's real easy to do. Just download the app, or you can just request a song, and you're doing all the work. You're helping us out, actually. So thank you for doing that. Paula, let's talk about your music. Folks are requesting you here at this station a lot.
And we are so honored and blessed that they are enjoying the music by purpose and requesting our song.
Well, you were on the show, and I think that's when it started. You were on the show a few weeks ago. And so you started talking about some of your music, and I think it all just kind of blossomed from there. So let's talk about your music. What's the tops right now?
I'm sorry, what's the what? I misunderstood.
What are the tops? What are people requesting right now?
Okay. Well, with purpose, they are requesting the song that your station's been playing is I've Just Touched Jesus. Mm-hmm. And then there's some other old songs that have been songs of the, I want to say songs of the church. I'm Too Near Home is an old convention type song that people are requesting. And there's a song that we've sung for many years now called I Know Me that's still about our #1 requested song that people ask us to sing. So those are some of the songs, the top songs that people ask of us. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not really any one type song people are requesting here at the station. We're hearing a lot of Southern gospel. A lot of folks are requesting the older Southern gospel and the newer stuff. They're also requesting country gospel. And so it's just all over the charts. It's a huge variety of different things people are asking for. Why do you think that is? Because it's not just one type anymore.
Right. Well, there's just there's all kinds of different, as you say, styles of gospel music out there, but everybody has their own style that they like to listen to. So I think it's great that you've got all kinds of different people asking for different styles. That just shows that people still love gospel music. It's not dependent on one exact style.
I think that's the key. And people listen at this station and the show all over the country and really all over the world. We have Australia now. But my thing is, I don't know where the request is coming from. I wish we could know.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to know, is it local folks or is it, what is it exactly? So let's talk about the group Purpose. And now, where are you guys out of?
We are out of Russellville, which is over here in Northwest Alabama. We've been singing for officially over 11 years now, but now unofficially, probably closer to 13. We sang in our local church for about 1.5 to 2 years. And just was known as the church trio. And then we began feeling an urge to begin to move out of the local church. And we had a very first night with purpose and began our ministry outside the church walls. And that's when we named ourselves, and our scripture base is Romans 8:28. We know that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. And that's where we got our name from. So we just like to go in, and we don't really feel like necessarily that we're a singing group. We like to go in and minister, but we use the venue of singing to go into churches. And so we just go in any door that we can, that the door is open to us. And um, we just love sharing. We tell people we like to go in and share our stories of where God brought us from and to where we are today. So,
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best way. You just get out there and you just sing, and
right.
just and folks can tell, really, people can tell whether it comes from the heart or not.
True.
And I mean, I can hear it without even looking at you guys. I can hear it just in your voices when it's playing on our station.
Well, that's what we want. We call that the anointing. And when you can hear a song and it begins to stir something inside of you, then indeed, that's what we want. We don't want it just to be a dry, dead song. We want something that'll touch and move people. And that's why we're so honored. We received the weekly chart this past Friday to find out that I've Just Touched Jesus was the top of your chart. And we were so excited and so honored, but yet so floored at the same time that there are people that are listening and have requested I've Just Touched Jesus. That just tells us that it's not because of purpose, but it's because of the message in the song. Somebody somewhere is being blessed through that song, and we're just so honored. This is the first time Purpose has ever been on top of somebody's chart, so we're extra honored that it's with Donna, you guys, and we appreciate your playing Purpose.
Well, it's like we always tell everybody, we have the absolute best listeners ever, and they know good music when they hear it. They really do.
Well,
So let's talk about the song a little bit. Let's kind of dissect it a little bit. What's that song
okay.
about?
Well, I'll just tell you that song, I wrote that song and it took me a good bit to do. I tell people I'm not your typical songwriter. I'm not one that can sit around and say, let's spend the day writing music. It doesn't happen that way with me. I began hearing, and for months, all I heard, I could picture and I could see the very first line as she stepped out the door, pulled it closed like before, and turned to begin her way home. That's all I could see. And finally, one day I said, now, Lord, I'm going to be patient, but I know you're giving me a song here, and I'm going to be patient. And when it became time, then the rest of it began coming together. The song comes from the story in the Bible of the woman that had the issue of blood for 12 years. And the Bible says that she had spent all. She had spent all and yet grew worse. And so the song itself is the story, that story, but it's based on maybe her side of it, how it could have happened, her perspective, talking about her closing that door. She had no more to spend. She had spent the last bit of money she had going to that last doctor. And then the song goes on to talk about maybe possibly on her way home. As tears filled her eyes, she heard somebody cry. A healer was coming by their way. And she was thinking to herself, oh, could it be true? Could he heal me too? There was nowhere else for her to turn. She had spent all, she had done all. There was nowhere else for her to turn. And then the next verse goes into the crowd was drawing near. She could see him. And she, in her mind, she had to figure out, how am I going to get there? This crowd is big. If only she could just, she had all of a sudden had a faith that she thought, okay, if there's a chance he could heal me, all I've got to do, if I could get close enough just to touch the hem of his garment. And so she pressed through the crowd and crawled on the ground. She knew this was probably her last hope. As she touched his robe, she felt healing flow, but she kind of hid back. The Bible talks about Jesus started asking, who touched me? And his disciples were like, Master, or what do you mean, who touched you? You're in a crowd of people here moving along. There are lots of people touched you. And then Jesus said, no, virtue's gone out of my body. And so he stopped. He says, okay, wait a minute, who touched me? And she was hiding. And she's like, it was me. And he told her she was healed. But the song is still about her side of it. It's not where Jesus actually stopped the crowd. The story is her version. Then she'd never felt it before, and then it goes into herself going, I just touched Jesus. I've just touched Jesus. So that's the gist of this. It's you can actually, if you listen to the song, you can visualize the story as you hear the song.
That's very profound, you know. And then another thing that I get out of it is timing. And this is
Right,
from hearing your story too about how you wrote the song. You know, a lot of
right,
times we'll come up with an idea, God will give us an idea, and we
right,
think because God gave it to us that we're to like pursue it now
right.
or yesterday. And sometimes He just gives it to us and gives us time to
No,
work out the kinks.
right, right. And it's just a time thing. I pondered on that song for a long time. Just I was just literally driving in the car one day when I finally said, okay, Lord, just whenever you want to give me the rest of it, because I know there's a song coming here. And I just had to wait. So there's been times that I start hearing songs and bam, 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 it
Mhm.
comes. But then there's times like this that it just takes time and the Lord's timing. But he gives me that nugget to let it simmer, we'll say, for a while to prepare. Maybe he was preparing me to be able to write it properly. So
It sounds like it. And it sounds like maybe you had to experience a few things so it would make sense on your end, more sense
right,
on your end. And so you could put the
right,
words to it.
right. I had to when I got to the place that I realized I wasn't just telling a story, I was writing it from her perspective. When I began to get to that place, when I was trying to see it through her perspective, is when it began to come.
It sounds like also, you know, because there's a scripture, you really understand people when you sit where they sit. And maybe you
Right,
kind of had to sit where she sat.
right, right, right. So, but
You
we're
really
just
did.
so honored that people are receiving the message and asking for the song to be played, and we can't tell you enough how thankful we are that y'all chose to play Purpose and Play. I can't, excuse me, I've just touched Jesus on your programming, and we again simply want to thank you.
We want to thank you for writing such an awesome song and for you guys being the way you are too. You know, if people can sing and then people can
Right,
sing with feeling, and that's what you guys
right,
are doing.
right. Well, we would love the chance to come over into that area. We do have a new project that'll be released the end of this next month, the end of November. So we're looking forward to. There's several new original songs on that are going to be on this project. I've written one of them, but Tim in our group has written four that are going to be on this new project. So we're excited for the things that are going to be being released in the near future, and look forward to the listeners having a chance to hear some new Purpose material.
We do too. Now, before we go, let's talk about you guys and how folks can get in contact with
Yes, that there are a couple of ways. My cell phone number is typically how people reach Purpose, and the number is 256-627-8784. We're also on Facebook, and it's if you put in the search bar on Facebook, purpose.al, you'll go directly to our page. If you put in Purpose, you may be searching for a while because there's a lot of things on Facebook with the word purpose.
you.
So
Hmm.
put in purpose.al and it'll take you directly to our page. You can send the message to us through Messenger there about coming to our church or coming to your church, and we would love to have that opportunity. So Facebook or cell number 256-627-8784.
That sounds great. Paula, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Miss Donna. Again,
You,
thank y'all very much.
well, you get back to work. I know the boss man's going to be around. Okay, folks, we're going to be back with another exciting guest like Paula today. So you hang in there, okay? Bye, Paula. Thank you.
Bye, Donna. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I'll go ahead and get started with you right now because this is something that's really cool, and this is 25 Thanksgiving dinner hacks. We need them. May not be able to get to all of them today, but I found this on this really neat website. It's called totallythebomb.com. totallythebomb.com. Sometimes we just need a little guidance, when it's that time of the year and it's just right around the corner. So it can be extremely stressful. We know that. Tip number one is make a menu and stick to it. That is so true. I don't know how many times I've wanted to alter the menu and I wind up bumming out. There are lots of great ideas out there in the world that you can add the menu in just a few days before the big day, or even as you're cooking, but don't do that. About a month before, what you want to do is write down what you're going to cook and what you're going to ask other people to bring too, okay? And just forget the rest. It'll be a big stress reducer, and it'll also help you work through what you have to do, and all you got to do is prepare, okay? So do it as quick as you can before the holiday. This also applies to Christmas, okay? We get stressed out during that time too. Make a shopping list. Yes, do not head out shopping until you got that list in your hand. Now, what I like to do is send myself text on my cell phone, and that way I don't have to worry about fumbling through the purse. The list is always going to be at the bottom of the purse. You can pick the phone, look at the text you sent yourself. There's your shopping list. There you go. You can split all of those ingredients into separate shopping lists for items that you can buy a month ahead, or maybe even a week ahead, or maybe some things you want to buy the day or two before. This is going to help you reduce, not eliminate now, the number of emergency trips you'll be running to the store. This is a really good hack. I never thought about this before. Number 3, grate the butter. If any of your recipes call for folding in the butter, like your pie crust, your dressings, biscuits, and stuff like that, it's a whole lot easier to take a stick of butter and grate it into the mix. It's a lot easier. Now, if it's a pie crust or something like that, go ahead and grate it. Now, you need to do it while the butter is really cold, but go ahead and grate it and then put it into your refrigerator or your freezer, and then when it's just about time to go ahead and prepare the biscuits or your pie crust, take it out of the freezer, okay? And don't smash it down, okay? Let it stay as it is. Chop, chop. Okay, the veggies always with the veggies. Always chop them. It makes the chopping life a lot easier for Thanksgiving. This writer, again, the website is totallythebomb.com. I like to chop my veggies as well in advance, at least a day before I prepare the specific dish. Then I float them in a bowl of water until I need them. That's especially true with potatoes, and I'm going to tell you something about that in a second. Allowing worry only about putting the dish together, not chopping the veggies for the half day. Okay, now potatoes. What you want to do if you're going to chop those up a day in advance, go on ahead and put those in water. Chop them, then put them in water. Put saran wrap or something on top of it and keep that in your refrigerator. And what will happen is the potatoes are not going to turn brown. They're going to look as if you have just chopped them up. So many things you can do ahead. No roll pie crust. Oh, this is a really good one right here. You got to give this pie crust a try. Now, you don't have to roll out the pie crust. That saves a whole lot of time, as well as your muscles. Although I use that for working out. You've got enough to worry about getting this meal together. So all you've got to do is put your perfectly rolled out pie crust, put it on wax paper, flatten it out with your hands. That's all you got to do, unless it has something that has to be super thin. And then put it in the pie crust. Okay, now a lattice top pie. Now, to make these pies look really good, both traditional and pretty, you need to lattice top on many of them, especially the fruit pies. It's kind of hard, except when you learn how to do it really easy. And it is really easy. It's not as hard to do as you may think. The key to a lattice pie top, okay, You want to flatten out the pie crust, put it in the refrigerator, let it get really cold at least 30 minutes. Take it out, get your knife, go on ahead and cut it, put it on top of the pie, and just use your fingers. And actually it winds up being prettier, and it's really good when those juices ooze out too. Freeze a pie. This is a real good hack. Make your pecan, pumpkin, and sweet potato pies a month early. Then you can freeze them. Then you can buy the little cheap pie pans and cook them in that. Plus, you're not messing up your grandma's pie. I like to use my grandmother's pie stuff, though. After they've cooked, you can take the cheapy pan off and put them in a gallon-sized baggie and put them in the freezer, and you're done. Isn't that a nice one? Okay. Stale or toasted bread equals better dressing. Okay, always use stale bread for your dressing unless you have absolutely no options. I use my cornbread. I'll make that up. I've been baking that all through the year. And maybe you have one piece left over. Throw it in a bag, a good freezer bag though. Throw it in a bag and you're saving up. You're not going to have to make the cornbread for your cornbread dressing. This is pretty cool. Let's see, another hack right here says you can also toast the bread and that'll help wick out a lot of the moisture as well. Don't be afraid to be too dry with the bread. You can always put moisture in when you mix prior to baking it. And another thing about cornbread dressing is I like to use real butter. Don't use margarine or oleo or any of that stuff. Make sure you use real butter because it keeps that moisture in there and it's super tasty. Okay, dry cornbread, and we talked about that just a second ago. Freeze a dressing. This is something I always do. And it's really even better because it's going to really cause the flavors to mix in really well. Make your dressing a week or 4 in advance. Then, like the pies, freeze it. Depending on your pan size, you may have to cut the sheet of dressing in half. But if you cut it carefully, you can put it in a gallon-sized bag and just stack it on top of the pies. That's just another thing you can do. Homemade cranberry sauce. I've heard a lot of people say, if you ever make your own cranberry sauce, you'll never buy it canned again. If you want to look like a fancy real chef, you can do it. Make homemade cranberry sauce a week before. Just follow the instructions on the bag of fresh cranberries. It's on all the cranberries. Then just pop it into the fridge. That stuff that you save in the fridge for weeks, you'll look like you're the best gourmet person around. Smoked turkey. Yeah, smoked. I know everybody wants to cook that perfect turkey, but honestly, there's too much that can go wrong. So no way, says the author of this article, no way, I'm going to take that risk. So you can make your own, like this awesome recipe, but always hit the favorite barbecue place to see what kind of smoked turkey deal they're selling. But then you can always go to Honey Baked Ham. Their ham is very good every single time. Okay, number 13. Don't stress out about drinks, okay? Your sweet tea and all those things, let me tell you what you can do. Freeze them. Yeah, let's talk about how this works. Don't stress out about drinks. A few days before, brew the tea and make your Kool-Aid, put it in gallon-sized baggie, and then freeze it. And then on that day, all you've got to do is just pour it into a pitcher. All this stuff takes up a lot less room in your freezer, too. That way you can put more stuff in there. That's always the big deal, right? Okay, kids play before they put someone else in charge. Thanksgiving is an exciting time for kiddos. They want to help, participate, and do something. Plus, they're out of school, so they might be a little bored. Now, if they stopped bugging you for a couple of seconds, just be prepared and have some fun activities for them to do on Wednesday. They can make placemats. Oh, this is a real easy thing for everybody. And then they can put some salt dough leaf ornaments in preparation for putting up the Christmas tree on Friday. I always like to put my Christmas tree up the day after Thanksgiving. If they'd rather make some food, you can help them make biscuits a day ahead. Nothing wrong with that. And on the big day, make Dad be in charge, or Mom if Dad's the chef of the family, and ask your aunt to come watch the kids. Trust me, it's worth calling in for a favor. And then you've got all the work you can do without being hassled. Thaw out overnight. Now take everything out of the freezer that you've frozen and put it on the garage or in the counter, wherever you want to find space. That will give a huge turkey time to thaw out before the show time. Make sure to calculate about 20 minutes for every pound of that turkey, okay? Now, in my family, I love turkey. I could eat turkey every day. Love leftover turkey sandwiches, especially smoked turkey. But Phil's not really that much into turkey. So what we do is we usually buy a hen, and then I'll smoke the hen. And I did a real good one. It's a rotisserie hen. I did that one last year, and man, that was super good. Okay, pre-made breakfast. Yeah, go ahead and get that out of the way, okay? If you're making dinner for that big day, why mess around making something a day of breakfast as well? Okay, a few days before, make something unique and fun for the kids. You can do an apple strudel or maybe a cream cheese filled pumpkin bread of goodness. Now, all of this is found on this website, okay? TotallyTheBomb.com. Even has the recipes in there. Then all you do is warm it up and get ready to accept the compliments. Or if you're making breakfast for a huge crowd, sometimes people do that, maybe like a brunch. You can make a fruit salad, a holiday favorite of their family, they say. Again, TotallyTheBomb.com. Okay, a simple light lunch. That can be good to do too. Keep lunch light and don't fill the kids up before that biggest meal of the year. Just make sure you program going ahead and find a time that you want to have Thanksgiving. Some people do it on breakfast, some do a brunch, and some do supper. So whatever time you do, just make sure you don't eat so heavy before the meal, okay? You're going to make your Aunt Susie mad, or your grandma. Okay, let's see. For lunch, if you'd like to make something really, really light, you could do like an apple squash soup, maybe blue cheese and pecan stuffed celery bites. That would be really good too. You can also do anything in the slow cooker. That would be good. Okay, sides galore. No reason to make all the sides the day of. Macaroni and cheese casserole can be made a few days prior and refrigerated. So can your green bean casserole and your candied yams. Just make sure you make sides the kids are going to like too. And if you're having trouble coming up with ideas, there is a quick list of side dishes that you can find on this website. TotallyTheBomb.com. TotallyTheBomb.com. Perfectly formed biscuits. My family could care less what it looks like. They just want these really good flaky biscuits. But if you're really into wanting them to be exactly the same, you can cut your biscuits with maybe a glass. If you do that, what you'll need, go ahead and roll the biscuits out, okay, just kind of like you're doing cookies. And then you'll need to make sure you put some flour on I'd use a big old glass. Now, glass is much better than using something plastic. So just get your glass and you want to dip it down into the flour, because what's going to happen is every time you cut those biscuits, it's going to make it kind of gummy. So you want to make sure you do that. Make sure you put the flour around the glass. Make sure you dip it in there. Okay, turn the glass right side up. Rinse, have a little bit of no stress and less mess, right? Okay, wash potatoes in bulk. Now, we talked about that at the first part of the show. Rather than washing your taters by hand, run them through the dishwasher. No, really, you can do that. Just make sure you don't put soap in it, okay? But just running plain water will do that. Now, you know that you can boil your potatoes to skin. Instead of spending half a day or an entire day peeling potatoes and feeling like you're in the army. For the party, you need to boil them first and then peel all day. Once they boil for about 15 minutes, the skin will come just about off. You know, you can just use it with a paring knife and just make it a lot easier. Fluffier mashed potatoes. Everyone and their dog has a recipe for their mom's mashed potatoes, but not all potatoes are created equally, right? This recipe is for French mashed potatoes. Calls for a little bit of baking soda, and then once you make it, the mashed potatoes, they're much more fluffy. So while you're boiling them, put just about a half a teaspoon of baking soda in there. Again, make your potatoes fluffy. Delegate a few sides. Crazy Uncle Charlie, he really is good at making that green bean casserole, right? Flatter him by letting him ask him to bring that. Just say everybody wants your whatever your special dish is. And that's nice. It saves you a lot of stress. And frankly, a little potluck can bring a family together as well. Schedule a break. Okay, if things are going well, you can actually take that break. But you're totally running behind, and you do have a few minutes that you can catch up with if you're going ahead and have folks help you bring things, okay? I'm going to do one more. Got one time for this one. Make reservations. My father-in-law suggested I add that to the list. He's right sometimes, though. I'll be honest. It probably wasn't the best idea for me to host Thanksgiving 2 months after my daughter was born. So why not go ahead and make reservations at a nice restaurant?